Hey, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss Pre-Market Report for Wednesday, September 6th, 2017. I'm Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Here's a look at the daily time frame of the ES. Right now, we continue to hold within the key range, 24.88 half down to 24.30 half. That's kind of the key range that we've been inside. Every time price gets outside, it goes back in. We haven't quite gotten up here yet, but we've been seeing rotations back and forth. So right now, at the moment, we're still stuck in this range. Still building energy. You can see the neutral PIMAs here. Everything's kind of waiting for expansion. And again, this is an energy building phase here. Price on an inside day with a very narrow range here. Only 6.75 of a point traded. Been averaging 18.5 points on a 10-day basis. So 36% of ADR. Very, very quiet right now. Overall, very hard to tell, again, in this range what's going on, but for the most part, as long as price can hold here above 24.55, we could be looking at a quiet push back up. But again, inside this range, it could be anybody's ballgame. We're building energy until expansion occurs, so still watching this one. Now, if we drop into the intraday time frame here you go. On the intraday time frame, the previous session we had a very nice trading range that started out the day. That range gave us some movement here until we saw major expansion to the downside. Here's that trading range we referenced yesterday. We got a couple of nice moves back and forth. Eventually we got a breakdown and a big move. Little box here and a reversal back up. And that's kind of been the path that we've been on at the moment. So coming back up here and bouncing, we now have another range. So 24.56, 24.64. Could be short-term, fade the edges types of opportunities there as this thing builds out a wider range after the recent push up. So right now, still kind of range bound. Look to fade the edges until proven otherwise. Here's crude oil. Now if we drop this thing down all the way or higher into the daily time frame, here it is. Quite a big day the previous session. Big aggressive rally, big move up. Held near the highs throughout the rest of the session after the initial rally. What I mentioned to our group was to watch for signs of rejection here above the previous high. If there's rejections above the previous high in after hours trading, that could offer an opportunity to fade it back to the midpoint by the morning. So far that has not played out. We had the early rejection at the previous high, a pullback, and then price went and bid through the previous high. So right now it's showing an additional strength within the current up move. Higher highs, higher lows, and this thing is attempting to hold above 49s right now. 49s being a very, very important key level. Any failure to hold 49 by the end of the day could be very, very bearish, moving back toward 45.66. So this is a very important level here. This is where bears have defended. And I told you before that if bulls start to push through 49s, you're going to start to run upside buy stops of those bears. So right now, very important pivot right here, 49s. Continue to watch that, especially intraday. All right, let's take a look here at the NQ. The NQ pulled back after reaching 6K. It's the first time we tested levels above 6K. We came within a stone's throw just before and then pulled back for at least a month. So right now we're still in the range. We still have an overall upward bias. You can see here after this kind of flag that formed, this thing broke up and has held kind of the pullback. So everything's still kind of pointing up for the most part, but I still believe that this is kind of a jumbled mess a little bit here as we still trying to shake out a little bit post Labor Day. I think we're still gonna kind of unravel to the upside, but any pullback could be a great buying opportunity for that type of event. So right now, again, not a great trade location right now. Nothing super actionable. Still waiting for this thing to develop and build a better actionable pattern. Still trending up short term in the intraday time frame. Now, if we look at gold right here, here's gold futures GC. We've had quite the rally here. This was the day right there, that day right there, when we thought, okay, finally we've gotten a rejection. We may start to work our way up back to 1250 and 1259. We got that nice move there, and then once we got that move, we were looking for a continue to 1300. That continuation here, we were looking for rejection, Didn't happen. It was in the ball game until this day, and on that day is when we switched our bias. So we've seen quite a bit of strength here. We've seen a breakout from this range, and we're now above 1330 for the first time post-election here in the U.S. The last time we traded above that zone was election day. Before that, it was a month earlier, 2 months, 6 weeks earlier. So we still have quite a bit ahead of steam going up. I think above 1300 implies more strength to 1375, perhaps even as high as 1400. But if we get to 1375 to 1400 again, that's kind of similar to this 1300. It's going to be a big fade on the first test potentially, because that's where the market has been rejected over the last several years. So we may have more upside into about 1375. Look to defend pullbacks above 1330 until we reach 1375. So that's the path here for GC unless 1330 gives out, or 1300 gives out. All right, that's it for now. Let's see how this plays out heading into the rest of the session. Good luck and trade well.